fear of failure is a pride issue. You're worried how people will judge you.
That's
and
right.
you care so much about how people perceive you that you're not even willing to try. That night, I did my first video talking straight to a camera. And that video, in the first 2 days, I think it did like 3 million views.
Wow.
That's the scary part of AI. You know it's not real. You know that the AI girls scrolling through Instagram aren't real.
No. Welcome to the Chris Salerno Show, your go-to for real estate, business, health, and family insight. I'm Chris Salerno, CEO of QC Capital. Each episode, we explore the latest trends and expert advice from industry leaders. Whether you're an investor, entrepreneur, or seeking balance, this show provides an inspiration you need. Join us and elevate your game on the Chris Salerno Show. Welcome to the Chris Salerno Show. I'm your host, Chris Salerno. I have a very exciting guest on the show, Matt Kim. He's going to give us a wealth of knowledge when it definitely comes to politics, business, but you're going to learn a little bit about him, who he is. I've been following you for quite a while. The reason why I love following you is because you're no bullshit type of guy. You're straightforward and you say it so calmly. and I can resonate with that. And I love that. And I love following all the stuff you post because it's very informational too. You know, it's stuff that these fake news likes to hide from us, which shouldn't be hidden. You know, and I don't know how you get the information. We may touch on that a little bit on how you source it all, but you know, you're genuine and you tell it how it is, and that's how it should be told. So welcome to the show, my friend.
Hey, Chris, I appreciate you having me on. This is amazing. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Yeah.
And yeah, I try to just tell people what I think. That's really what it is. People say, Matt, you're unbiased. Actually, that's not true. I'm extremely biased. I present facts in a matter that I want to tell my story.
I love that.
And I think I want you to draw a certain conclusion from what I say, but I encourage people to think for themselves.
Yeah.
I want to lay it out there, give you something to think about, especially at the end of a video. And hopefully it'll take you down your own journey. Sometimes I'll get into some crazy stuff and I'll get all these messages from these older guys. And they'll say, Matt, thank you. I'm like, what do you mean? They're like, now I have 8 hours of research I can do. Because they can go down the rabbit hole and get really deep in it.
You give it the high level and then they can go down it.
That's all it
is.
And
I think that's why I resonated so much with you and your show and everything you do is because here are the facts. Like this is the facts that we have on paper and you make the decision you want to make based off of the facts I'm giving you. And there is really no news outlet out there that is doing that, you know, at a very high level. It's really individuals like yourself that are saying, hey, this is what are the facts, and you can make a decision whether you like it or not.
Yeah, being really polarizing and kind of yelling at the camera, yelling at each other, that's very popular. That gets a lot of clicks and views.
Yeah, you're complete opposite. You're calm, collective.
Yeah, what I found out is that if you are a conservative and you want to send your content to maybe your liberal son or your grandson or your friend, and you want to talk about a certain issue, if you send someone like Dan Bongino, who I like, but he's kind of yelling in your face all the time,
you're automatically going to have that wall.
Yeah, once they receive that video, they feel like they're getting yelled at.
Yeah.
And it doesn't actually start a conversation.
You're right.
If you are calm in your demeanor and you kind of present information, then they're able to take that and have a conversation. So I've had messages from people that say, hey, actually, every Friday at family dinner, we take one of your videos, we all watch it, and on Friday dinner, we discuss one of the topics that you discussed for the week. I
love that.
Which is amazing. I love that so much.
You are spot on there. And that's one thing I talked to our CMO about is that I'm not that type to go above and beyond with energy and obnoxiousness. And there's influencers, there's real estate guys out there, finance guys that I follow, and they just go above and beyond with their energy. And it's just like, it's too much. It's like, calm down. You're not like that 24/7.
Yeah.
You can't tell me you're like that 24/7. And I know you're not, and you're just genuine. And I think that's what resonates big time.
It's really tiring to be yelled at all the damn time.
The energy of just an hour to 2 hour podcast is tiring. When you get done and we do back to back, some 4 or 5 in one day. After it, I'm like, now I got to check emails, got phone calls with investors, and it takes a lot of energy out of you. It's just like our children. They take a lot of energy out of us. And that's how it is doing these type of podcasts or being on camera at a very high level. And they don't do it all the time. Like that's not their day-to-day life.
Yeah, if you're thinking about something important or something that's important to your life, you want to be attentive with your time.
100%.
So if you are just getting yelled at or it's really polarizing, you don't want to give it an entire hour of your time. We have a lot of stuff going on in our lives.
Oh my God.
Our children take up a lot of time.
They do. Yeah.
I don't have the time nor the mind capacity to sit there and have someone yell at me for an hour.
No, you're right. Yeah, you're spot on.
But if you can do it quick, you can kind of get it out there, then people are all right. I have something to think about while I go on my day. I can at least think about this. And that's what I try to do.
Before we dive into the Matt Kim podcast and much more about you, I want everyone to get to know you a little bit better, because I think, a lot of people, they see all over your social media, but they may not know who you are as a person. So let's talk about that. Where are you originally from? Let's talk about from childhood, the businesses, everything.
So I was born in Moscow, Idaho.
Okay.
Which is really interesting.
There you go.
I used to go to the
Isn't
bar.
that Potatoes, Idaho?
That's not the potato side.
No.
I only lived there till I was about 100 days old. But that's where I was born. And I used to go to the bar when I was in my early 20s. And I'd say to the girls I meet, guess what state I was born? And they would say, oh, Montana or Iowa or Ohio or Dakota. They try to name everything obscure that you can think of. And they'll say Montana like 3 times. And you'll say Maine like 4 times. No one ever guessed Idaho.
Really? I would never guess.
No one's ever going to guess that. And so that's something I did. That's where I was born. I grew up in New Jersey, right outside of New York City.
Okay, love it.
I did high school and college in Ohio. I went to Ohio State, the Ohio State.
There you go.
And then I went back to New York. I had an insurance business there for several years.
What got you into insurance?
My uncle had an insurance agency.
We all need it,
Yeah.
So all the banks want us to have it.
My first job out of college was to sell car insurance in New York City. And
how was that? Most people walked.
Well, that was the problem. My uncle, he had an Allstate agency, and he's like, Matt, why don't you come work for me? And you like to talk to people, so you can sell a lot of car insurance. I said, great. And there was in a big building. Like, if you can sell car insurance to everyone in the building, it'd be great. So I used to go floor to floor and be like, hey.
No way.
Why don't you buy insurance? I used to stand in the lobby. Like, here's my card. Why don't you buy insurance?
Oh, and I'm sure you got turned down so many times.
It's going nowhere. I was like, why is it going nowhere? Because
no one has cars.
No one has a car in Manhattan. It was in Manhattan on 36th Street and 8th Avenue.
If you can sell car insurance in Manhattan, you can sell it anywhere.
So I was like, all right, I need to think out of the box because this isn't working. I ran into a guy that worked at a BMW dealership.
Okay.
And I was like, what do you do with your clients when they buy a car? They need insurance. Like, oh, yeah, we just transfer it to whoever the current insurance is. Why don't you send them to me? If I can save them a few bucks on their insurance, then actually they may be able to buy a more expensive car.
Correct.
They can afford more payment.
Benefit of the sales
so
program.
It benefits you, it benefits me. And I'll come back with like a little gift for you guys.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, like, okay, we can do that.
That makes sense.
All of a sudden, every Friday, I'm coming by to see this guy. And I'm like, hey, like, happy Friday. We did a lot of deals. Like, I'm going to take care of you. And all of a sudden, all the guys in the dealership, all the sales guys were like, who is this guy? Why is he here every Friday? And why every Friday are you buying drinks?
Yeah. What's going on here?
What's going on here? I want to meet him too. And after a while, I was doing insurance for almost every single car dealership in Manhattan.
No way.
Yeah.
So you found leverage for all the car dealerships that are in Manhattan. Hey, mine as well, because someone's in there buying a car.
And they're selling more cars. They are, because people can afford the payments.
Yeah.
They are, and once I get that lead, now I am talking to them. Okay, where are your other cars at? Who's doing your home? Who's doing your condo?
Why don't we bundle it all? You save more money.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I was able to grow that business pretty quickly.
So really, family got you into the insurance side.
Yeah.
Nice.
And then it's just kind of opportunity, thinking one thought that was outside the box.
And you took action.
And then you just kind of go.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. And then from there, where did it all come into?
So I had sold my insurance business, and I was doing nothing.
Congratulations on that.
Oh, thank you. And I was doing nothing. I was just kind of sitting around. I was getting kind of tired of New York City. And a friend of mine in Georgia, in Atlanta, he calls me one day randomly. He's like, Matt, what are you doing today? I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, I don't really have much going on. Maybe I'll go play golf. I don't know. Yeah. Maybe I'll go to the bar early. I don't know. Like,
what'd
I don't
you
have
go
anything.
to drink?
I used to drink a lot of whiskey, a lot of tequila. I used to drink a lot of old fashions. That was my dinner drink.
There you go.
I don't drink it all anymore.
I don't either.
I haven't had a drink in, I think, 6 years.
It feels good.
I love it.
I do.
Best decision ever made.
Oh my God. I do not drink. I feel good. I'm really cautious about what I put into my system. Yeah. And I've told the team this too. It's like with all these type of foods, goldfish, I found this out. If you look on the back, and I don't know if an administration's passed this, you'll know a lot more about that than I do. It says bioengineered chemicals. And I'm thinking, are you shitting me?
Yeah.
Like, and so I look at everything now. And I watch everything I put into my system because of that. And yeah, I don't drink. I watch what I eat because it's shockingly, and I was telling our CMO this on the way down here, is that the healthcare system in Europe and overseas is so much more advanced than it is here. And also with our food system, with the FDA and everything they try to control over here, it's just a bunch of ruckus. They don't know what they're doing with all the chemicals, processed food, and all of that. It's killing us at the end of the day.
Yeah, we do when we were doing formula, we used to get it from Germany.
I was going to say, you get it from overseas. Yeah, we looked at that
to.
same exact thing because the formula here, we just did not trust it.
It's funny because I used to do business in China, and I would do work with manufacturing facilities over there. And sometimes the owner of the factory would come to the United States, and before, he used to come and he'd leave all of his clothes behind, fill his luggage with baby formula, and take it back home.
Why?
Because he thought that the American baby formula is better and more well-regulated than the baby formula in China. Most recent time he came, which was a few years ago, I was like, okay, we got to go to Costco because you want to buy all the baby formula. You've been doing it the last few trips.
Take a pallet.
He was like, no, man, I'm good.
And you're like, what changed your mind?
He was like, that formula that you guys sell over there, that's really bad.
Really?
We don't want to mess with it. I don't want to mess with it anymore. Even him, who used to come here just to buy baby formula, literally the reason of his trip. Like, he didn't have to come here for the trip. He would come just so he can buy baby supplies and bring them home and bring them back to China.
We were talking about the food, and Stephanie, our CMO, has family in the UK, and she said some of her family members would ask to bring certain type of foods from the US to the UK because the UK does not sell it because of all these ingredients that the US approves, which is so true. If you look at all these other countries, especially over in Europe, all the ingredients that we have over here, they don't even see over there. They won't allow it.
Yeah.
You know?
It's pretty crazy.
It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. So don't drink. I love that.
Oh, yeah. No drink.
You know, that's good. So your guy called you up from Georgia.
Oh, that's right.
And you were saying, okay, well, I'm either going to go golfing or going to the bar at the time. And then where did it all tumble from there?
Well, and then he's like, well, you should come to Georgia. Come to Atlanta. You should come visit one day because it's a cross between Ohio, where I went to school, and New York.
Atlanta's big.
Yeah, you have everything that New York has, maybe not to the degree, but you have generally everything.
Yeah.
But it's kind of more rural and suburban like Ohio would be.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, that's interesting.
You'll come try it out.
Yeah, I'll come try it out. And I turned to my girlfriend who was sitting next to me at that time, and I said, I want to go to Georgia. And she was like, good for you, because I've been moping around the house. I had nothing to do. I wasn't doing anything.
And she said, good for you.
She's like, good for you. She's like, when are you going to go? And I thought about it for like 5 seconds.
Right now.
I want to go today. She's like, when?
Like right now.
Oh, like literally right now. And she's like, how are you going to get there?
Airplane or drive?
I'm just going to drive. And I threw my clothes in my
trunk. So you had a car
trunk.
in Manhattan?
I had a car. Well, I think I was in Queens at that time.
You were in Queens. So a little more driving.
Yeah, and I threw my clothes in the trunk, and I got in my car. The first homeless guy I saw on the street, I gave him $100.
Bullshit.
I drove down here, and I've been here ever since.
What'd your buddy say when you said, hey, I'm coming today?
I called him on the way. He's like, Matt, like, oh, yeah, you're going to come soon? I'm like, yeah, I'm on my way.
And he's like, what? Yeah,
and I need to stay at your house because I don't know where I'm going.
Are you serious?
And I ended up staying at his house for maybe 3 months trying to figure out what I'm doing here, if I'm staying here.
Wow.
And I've been here ever since.
Really?
Yeah, I love it here.
You've seen the growth. And the lovely part is I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina. So it's 4 hours, nice car ride up 85. Atlanta's grown substantially. I mean, we're investing heavily into the car wash sector here in Atlanta. It's growing substantially, and there's no slowdown.
No
slowdown at all.
I feel like every other car is either from New York or California.
Oh, yeah.
And housing market here is wild.
Just in this neighborhood, we were looking at plates. Texas, California. I mean, they're coming.
Everybody's coming here.
They're coming to the Southeast. They want better taxes, a better way of living. That's what they're seeing down here.
And the cost of living in Georgia is still relatively low.
It's substantially cheaper than a lot of other states.
I mean, it's cheaper than Charlotte still. Yeah. It's cheaper than Nashville. It's definitely cheaper than Florida.
Oh, yeah.
It's cheaper than Texas. So people would just keep on coming here.
Yeah.
You get a good quality of life. You get pretty good weather all year round. It's hot in the summer, but everyone has air conditioning.
Yeah.
You get big houses, and everything is relatively new.
Mm-hmm. Most definitely.
Yeah. So, well, I don't want to pitch Georgia because don't watch it and be like, I'm going to Georgia. No, like we're full. Stop. No more.
They're going to come knock on your door.
We're done. Closed.
So you got to Georgia. You already sold the insurance company successfully. Congrats on that again. And then now what? I mean, you got what's that next step? You got a job? What's going on?
Yeah, I got a job doing I was looking for jobs. I'm going through the paper because
back then that's what we
did. And I found a job for a company that said, we're looking for someone that has experience in insurance.
Okay.
I'm like, well,
hey, just sold my business, so let's go.
I know insurance. Okay. So I show up at this interview, and it's a roofing company. A big hailstorm had just come through Atlanta, and they were looking for people that understood insurance to negotiate with the insurance adjusters.
Yeah.
And
they can be ruthless.
And go up on the roof.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, like, I don't have a fear of heights. I'll go up on roofs. So I spent an entire summer go up on roofs and negotiating the payouts and for the insurance companies and the homeowners. After like 2 or 3 months, I was like, there's really nothing to this. You have a crew, you hire a crew, you get the jobs, the insurance companies cut the checks on the spot.
Yep. They don't ask twice. Boom.
And, you know, there's like 30% margin built in.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm just going to get my own crew.
There you go.
So I talked to one of the crews, like, hey, you want to go with me? I'm going to start my own thing. They're like, oh, yeah, we'll go with you, Matt. And I talked to one of those sales guys, and I said, hey,
you want to go with me?
You want to come with me? He's like, you're going to pay more? I'm like, yeah, I'll pay more. Okay, let's go. And I started a company, and we did something like 200 houses that summer.
Wow. Would you say that entrepreneur bug came from the family member who had his own insurance? Because a lot of people talk about that. And as you know, in the politic world and business, all it is talking. But it's actually those who take action that really separate themselves. So you were the one who got involved, and you're like, okay, I understand the systems. I understand the process. I can operate this. And I can probably do it a lot better. So I'm going to go do my own thing, and you took action. Where did that bug come from?
I think my brain is just broken.
Yeah.
I see something
in a good
wrong.
way.
I see something wrong. I'm like, oh, I could do that. And I'm like, I'm just going to do it.
Yeah.
That's just kind of how it is. It's just like how I ended up in Georgia. There's one opportunity or one idea, and I'm just going.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of hesitation. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to commit to it.
And you're going to make it work.
I'll figure it out along the way.
I've been the exact same way, and you have to do that. Yeah, I mean, that's Elon Musk.
Yeah.
He does it that way as well. He has that type of mindset. I think a lot of your billionaires, and what really separates your billionaires from your millionaires and multimillionaires, is that type of mindset. I'm going to do it, and I'm going to figure it out along the way, and I'm going to make it work.
Yeah.
You know, and if I have to pivot, I'll pivot, but it's going to work.
I think that's more men especially should live that way.
100%.
Just do what you feel that you're supposed to do, and if you
Don't
feel
be
like you do it, don't be a bitch.
Yeah, you can say it. Don't be a bitch.
I don't know where we're at.
You can say it. You can say it. I gave you full proof to say whatever you want to do. You're Matt.
You just got to do it.
Yeah.
You know, don't hesitate. Don't overthink it. I feel like a lot of people get stuck into this. Well, I got to know exactly what's going to be like. And everyone's worried.
You're not going to.
I got to make my business plan. And it's got to be 100 pages. And I read on the internet that it's got to be, I have to have all these points to it. And the reality is, 2 weeks into your endeavor,
it's not even going to be different. Oh my God. You can write everything word for word, and it's going to be completely
You'll
different.
never know until you get started.
I always say the biggest failure is actually someone it's not them actually doing it. It's them fearing themselves that they're actually going to try. That's the biggest failure, is the fear of them doubting themselves. Oh, maybe I should do it or not. Yeah, I'm not going to do it because I'm scared. That's the biggest failure. It's not them actually doing it. And I see it across the board in business all the time, is everyone talking themselves out of it. It's like, look, go do it. What happens if you fail? You fail. I mean, we talked about earlier, you get so much hatred, I'm sure, on social media. You know, you're still staying consistent, and you're still posting great content out there.
Yeah, you can't be scared to fail. Actually, fear of failure is a pride issue. You're worried how people will judge you.
That's
and
right.
you care so much about how people perceive you that you're not even willing to try.
Yeah.
And the reality is that you don't respect people that don't try.
I said this earlier with our other podcast guests, and I said, no matter what you do, you're always going to get hatred. And I said it with you too. No matter what you do, someone's going to hate you for it. So just go do it.
Yeah.
Who cares? You know, if you're going to get it anyway, expect you're going to get it, and just run with it. You know, I mean, that's how you should live your life.
I agree 100%. I think that's how I've lived my life in everything that I do.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how I started
that.
a podcast.
Yeah.
You know, it's one of those where I have an idea, I'm going to do it.
We're going to dive into it. Don't spill those beans.
I went too far.
I know.
See,
I know.
look,
you're jumping it.
You gave me a crack, and I'm like, I'm jumping in.
You're going in after it. I love it. So you got the roofing company up and running. Let's talk.
Well, that was quick. I got out of that really fast because after the insurance money died out, I didn't have a huge interest in being a roofer for the rest of my life.
Opportunity right
it was
then.
a quick opportunity. I was in that frame of mind and that time of my life where opportunity, I got to make money. Opportunity, I got to make money. Opportunity, I got to make money.
Yeah.
You're not thinking bigger picture at that time.
Correct.
And I think younger people should do that. if you're going to fail when you're young. Actually, fail as many times as you can when you're young.
And
actually, I don't believe in savings for young people either.
We're going to touch on that. Okay. All right. I like that.
And any time in life, if you're going to make it back, you can do it when you're young. You have no responsibility, no one to care for, no one to look after. If you're going to fail and you're going to lose everything,
do it now. We're actually going to touch on that now with the savings. I think it's important that your back's up against the wall because we operate differently mentally as humans when your back is up against the wall. We're willing to do whatever it takes as humans. That's how we are wired. And if your back is up against the wall and you know, shit, I have to do this. It's this way or no way. I think you succeed. I think you actually take that leap of faith. You actually take that action. And I agree with that. I created the company I have with like $1,200 and then it went from 7,000. And then I learned how to multiply it and compound it. And then I'm not going to give the exact number, but it's up there. It's up there. And I learned that way, but I learned and every time I'm like, hey, I got X amount. I got to make it work. How do I make it work? And I very strategically do that. And so, no, I think in your 20s, and don't get me wrong, I had my son at 24. I love it because I'm happy, I'm healthy, I can run with him, we can wrestle. But it is super important to understand that in your 20s is all about risk.
Yeah.
And early 30s, in my opinion, too, is about risk, too. And it's strategic risk. Your 20s is you take the lessons you learn from those risks, and then you apply those in your late 20s, early 30s. And you still take risk because the higher the risk, higher the reward, but you have to take very calculated risk to grow whatever business you want to grow.
Yeah, just go. There's nothing like performing under the utmost pressure.
Yeah.
And if you have $1 to your name, and if this doesn't work, you're going to lose everything. You're going to find out who you are really fast.
Most definitely.
And you're going to find out if this is something that you're capable of. And if you fail, like you have to do some self-analysis and be like, all right, maybe this road wasn't for me.
Correct. Yeah.
And then it gives you an opportunity to adjust. And you can always make it back.
No, I love that.
The thing about money is that you can always make it.
You can. Yeah.
And people think, oh, it's really difficult. It's not.
The cell phones these days, technologies these days, you can make it back so quickly. It's unbelievable. You know, that's just an excuse.
People believe that currency and money is wealth.
Yeah.
But actually it's not. We all have the equal amount of wealth because we all have technology in front of us.
100%.
We have as much information in the world that you need.
We all have the same opportunities. I mean, the government gives out free cell phones.
Yeah.
So if the government's giving out free cell phones, I'm sure those free cell phones have some sort of internet on them, and you're able to access the internet. We all have YouTube. Right there, you can learn anything.
Yeah.
So it's just an excuse. The difference is more people are lazy, more people have more excuses, and they just don't want to do it.
If there's something you want to do, spend 4 hours a day. Instead of watching Netflix, instead of watching sports, instead of hanging out at the bar, spend that 4 hours, learn something new, and within a year, you'll be extremely competent at it. You'll be an expert in it.
Yeah.
And you can do whatever you want with that knowledge.
Love it.
People just don't want to do it.
No,
because it's
they're
so
lazy.
much easier just to turn on Netflix. I'm just going to watch entire season of Netflix in one day.
So it's also, I think it's something which I spent some time at Wharton Business School for marketing, and I love it because we talked all about the psychological aspect behind marketing. And we stopped on the way here to get a refresh for coffee and everything. And I looked, there's some people that were standing next to me, and I looked at their cell phones, and they were on Instagram, they were on TikTok, and you just see them so locked in. And it's a psychological thing that Netflix does, that all these, even Instagram, and we use those platforms to help educate people too.
Yeah.
But it's something they do to tap into that mind, to suck that human in, and to control them at the end of the day.
If everyone that followed me and everyone that watched me decide they're going to turn off their phones and never watch me again because they're going to get off the internet and they're going to live their lives, I'm totally okay with that.
Yeah.
Totally okay
You
with
should.
that.
Yeah, you should be.
Yeah.
You should be. And you should be able to still be fulfilled too if that were to happen. We all know it's not going to.
No.
It's not going to. But it's definitely a way to control that mindset. And I think the attention span's getting a lot shorter. We've noticed that with our analyzation of YouTube and everything. You can see the videos went from 40 minutes to 30 minutes to 20 minutes, and now everyone's making 15-minute reels. And I told Stephanie, I said, our new reels we're doing in our short videos, it's going to be 10 to 12 minutes. Because our attention span is getting so much shorter with all this information we're getting to it.
Yeah, it's really hard. People have been programmed, and it is very difficult to break free. Actually, if you just turn off your phone for 10 days, you can rewire your brain where you can start thinking critically again. The problem with, like, for example, children.
Yeah.
I don't know about what you do with your child. My child gets no screen time.
Yeah, love that.
We do 0 screen time because we'll go out to dinner, and once you have a kid that's young, all your friends are parents
here's the phone. Yeah.
Watch the phone.
Oh, yeah.
Watch this, take this. Oh, yeah, they're a little fussy at the dinner table, so watch this because adults need to talk.
Oh, 100%.
I think that's a really big mistake.
I do too as well. One thing, I won a couple of awards for in Charlotte, and I brought my son there. I'm a single father, so I brought my son there, and there was no kid there. But I brought him there, dressed very well, and I have him sit there, and he saw everything, and he used his silverware like adults would. And I think that's how I grew up at a very young age. I grew up an old soul, so I wanted him to take those footsteps as well. I'm 100% on that screen time because there's some times that we will look at a screen, and I'm sure we've been on YouTube looking at stuff, and now we're sucked in, or even on Instagram, and now we're scrolling, and it's attacking these children's mental ability to retain information, and they're doing it at a lot of quicker pace now, and that's why their attention span is getting so short. I'm 100% road trips. I don't know if anyone's ever 99 bottles of beer on the wall, but that's what I did when I was a kid. And then I would count how many different license plates we saw. My son, no. And sometimes I'll even test them too. I'm like, hey, do you want this? He goes, no. Can we have some music and boom, we're living the life. I think that's important.
No screen time for our road trips. We don't do screens in the back of the car. And all the cars are built with them now.
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah, they just automatically have them.
I tell them, look out the window, and when you see an 18-wheeler, go like this, and they'll honk the horn. That's what I did. Or let's count the Hooters billboards. Hooters is not around really anymore.
Yeah, I don't know if they're around anymore.
They went downhill, but in my era, they were. So you exited the roofing company, really wasn't interested about that. What really got your interest into the politic world? And how long have you been doing that?
So I've been doing a podcast for maybe a little over a year and a half, or about a year and a half.
Wow, a year and a half.
Yeah, it hasn't been very long.
Wow, I love that. You've had a lot of growth.
Yeah, it's crazy. I was home one day, and my daughter was really young, and I'm yelling at the TV. I think I was yelling at Sean Hannity because he was talking about how much he loves Lindsey Graham. I'm like, no, you're stupid. You don't know what you're talking about. And my wife came running down the stairs and said, shut up. Go tell someone that cares.
And you're like, okay, we're about to.
I think I will. And I
did you think it would grow this big?
Oh, no way. Not in a million years.
Especially
you can't plan for that.
Especially in a year and a half.
No, there's no way you can plan for that.
You skyrocketed.
Yeah. The first 6 months that you put out a podcast, no one listens. It's really hard.
Yeah.
And you ask all your friends to listen. And
hey, go download this. Go rate my podcast.
And they all say they did it.
And they didn't.
You talk to 10 friends. And I have 8 views. I'm like, okay, like 2 of you guys are lying to me. Yeah. Actually, 4 of you, because I watched it twice to get my views up. So you guys are all 100%. Liars, right?
Yep.
It takes a while to figure that out.
You have to stay consistent.
You have to figure out your voice, your cadence, what you talk about. You have to understand how this system works because it is its own economy.
It's its own business.
And I think it was about 5 months into it or 6 months into it that kind of everything changed.
Really?
Yeah. So
was it that overnight feel?
It was different.
Yeah.
So Tucker Carlson had just got fired from Fox in May of that year.
And congrats. I just saw you did something with him too.
Yeah, I got a chance to interview him.
I love that.
Which is really cool.
Oh, yeah. I will say too, and I don't mean to interrupt, I love his interview with Putin.
Yes.
It made me have a whole different vision on what's going on overseas. And I will say a lot of respect for him too. With the history he taught me from that conversation, I was blown away. I was like, wow, I just learned more than I did in the past 29 years of my life about, the overseas history. But it was definitely an eye-opening for that one.
If you remember that one, I wish that they subtitled it instead of dubbed it.
I wish they did too. That would have been a lot better.
Because he speaks pretty well. You would get his cadence, you would get his tone, you would get his inflection.
Most definitely.
Which would tell a little bit more of a story.
Yeah,
verse. And then I have no problem reading it.
He speaks very well.
Yeah, it's like watching a movie or a foreign movie and you're watching the dub version. I prefer the subtitles.
Oh, I think everyone does now. Yeah. We all love the subtitles. But he speaks very, very well. And there was a couple times Tucker said something. He's like, hold on, I'm not finished.
Yeah.
And went back. And I was like, okay, that's knowledge knowing, hey, before we go here, we're going to finish here.
Yeah, I need to finish this thought.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, and I loved what you did with him. I watched that too.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he got fired in May. And then I think June, a few weeks later, I realized that something was different with how I consume content because I'm used to listening to him every day.
Yeah.
And I really liked his monologues. That was my favorite part of what Tucker Carlson did, is that he would give you a story or something to think about that maybe some other people in the news weren't thinking about. I really thought that was unique, and I missed it. And on Father's Day in June of that year, I was at the bar, and I went to this bar, and in the bar, there is two groups of men. On one side of the bar at the golf course, there's two groups of men. On one side was the younger generation, and they were all getting drunk. And like, oh, it's Father's Day, it's my day, I'm going to do whatever I want because it's Father's Day. We all know the guys that do that.
Yep.
On the other side of the bar were the older generation of men, and they were getting drunk. Oh, my kids don't want to spend time with me. My kids don't want to visit me.
Cycle.
You saw it right there. Yeah. And it was like this holy shit moment.
That eye-opening to you.
I dropped everything. I went home right away. My daughter was maybe 10 months old.
Yeah.
I just laid on the floor next to her crib. I was like, I'm just going to stay here. It's Father's Day. I'm supposed to be here.
Amen to that. Yeah, I love that.
And that night, I did my first video talking straight to a camera. And it was Father's Day, so I made a video about this father and wife that were at a stoplight, and a random guy walked up a stoplight in their Tesla and shot them in cold blood. And the husband survived, and the wife, she was 7 or 8 months pregnant.
Oh, no.
And I did a video because Father's Day, I've been thinking about my daughter and parenthood all day long. And I had this weird experience of kind of seeing the circle of life. And I made a video about it. And that video, in the first 2 days, I think it did like 3 million views.
Wow. In the first 2 days?
Yeah.
Your first video?
My first talking head video did 3 million views.
And what did you just find a video or find a topic and you're like, hey, I'm going to discuss this because of what I just experienced. This is something that I want to discuss.
I just opened up my phone. It just happened to show up my feed that there is this news story. I read it, and I literally started my video like this. The media doesn't cover this because it was like one random article.
Yeah.
The media doesn't cover this, but it's Father's Day, and I can't stop thinking about it.
I love that.
And then I told the story about what happened. And at the end of the video, I said, so how many people died that day? Because the wife, she was 7 months pregnant.
Yeah.
And the comment section went nuts.
Really?
Because the people who, even if you believe in abortion, it's really hard to say that that guy didn't lose his wife and daughter.
100%.
It's really difficult.
Yeah.
So part of the comment section is talking and fighting over why the media doesn't cover this.
Yeah.
The other part is talking about, well, 2 people died. No, 1 people died. No, it was 2. Actually, he should have been charged 2. Actually, the guy was charged with 1 murder.
No way.
So that just really made people think.
My opinion, he should have been charged with 2.
He should have been.
I mean, that is one thing, and I'm very highly protective of my son. I'm a single father, love my son to death. I'm actually looking to buy a Belgian Malinois to protect us. So if you come towards my house, you're going to be, I'm a big Second Amendment guy, so you're going to see that. But before that, you're going to see a Belgian. And you're probably not going to want to touch or even talk to that Belgian. But, very protective about children. You just don't mess with children. That's a really soft point with me. You just don't mess with them. And when it comes to that, that's unfortunate that they saw that. I mean, and he took those lives. His life should be taken in my eyes. Yeah. That's unfortunate for those two individuals. Yeah,
it was one of those where it was the story that personally I connected with. I wanted to tell the story. I told it to a camera, and it just went. I don't know if 3 million views considered viral.
So did you go back to your wife and say, "Hey, I told people my thoughts"?
Yeah, I mean, my wife was like, "Of course, whatever." Like, she didn't really think anything of it. I think I had maybe 20,000 followers or 30,000 followers on Instagram at the time. And all of a sudden, I'm like at 40 and 50. I was like, okay, like
there's some traction here.
Something's going on.
It's taken off.
And then I made this video about the submarine. Remember the submarine that the Titan,
Titanic one?
The Titan that
the Titan
blew up in the middle of the ocean with the billionaire on it.
Oh yeah.
I made a video about that.
Okay.
It was the billionaire in the bottom of the ocean in a submarine that looked like a soda can.
Yeah.
And everyone was fascinated with that story for that entire week. Everyone's like, what's going on with the Titan? Hey, have you heard about the guy with the Titan? Hey, have you heard about the submarine that's lost at sea?
That's the one looking for the Titanic, and they had an Xbox controller.
Yeah,
and the thing.
So stupid.
Yeah.
And we found out later that the Navy actually found out that it blew up.
Correct.
4 days prior.
They had sonar and they heard the explosion.
But the entire week, the only headline for the entire week was everyone talking about the submarine.
Yeah.
So I made this video and said, hey, everyone's talking about the submarine. Everyone's worried about what's going on. Everyone's like, oh, is he going to live? Are they going to die?
Yeah.
This has consumed our lives. What was in the news this week? And I went down through a list of all the news that people didn't cover and didn't think about.
It was
like
Hunter Biden, it was a shiny object.
While everyone's staring at this.
Yeah.
That video did like 30 million views.
You want to know what shocks me is, and we're going to touch on it, is with everything that's going on with the DNC, the Kamala Harris, all of that. I can't pronounce it.
Kamala.
I'm going to say Harris. I'm sorry. I'm dyslexic. I can't pronounce it. I'm just saying it right now with all respect. I can't pronounce it. So Harris, I'm going to call her Harris. What shocks me is that when they announced her presidency to run, all you saw with Bloomberg, Forbes, Business Insider, the same thing.
Yep.
And it was the same attack against Trump. It was the same, message. And it's like all these news outlets are pouring out the same exact message, but there's nothing that we can actually look at to actually get the true facts. Like you can see one side is clearly bought. Like, come on. Like that same day, everything gets poured out the same way, maybe little tweaks here or there, but it's all the same. And so that's what they like to do, I found, is pour out, hey, a submarine's lost, guys. Let's talk about it for 2 weeks. However, all this other stuff that's really most important to us, and trust me, my condolences to those families, but all
should have been smarter than going to the bottom of the ocean in a soda can.
That too.
You're a billionaire. Come on, bro.
Yeah, at least test it.
That's not the best idea.
Test it. Let it drop a couple times before you actually put your body in there.
Not the best idea.
But they put all this type of stuff that's interesting. People are like, oh my God, look at this lost at sea submarine. But hey, we're going to throw all this other stuff under the rug, which is the most important, really, at the end of the day. I hope you're enjoying today's episode. Just a quick reminder to make sure you never miss an episode. Stay connected with us by following us on social media platforms, Instagram, Twitter, Threads, TikTok at Chris_Salerno_. And don't forget to subscribe to YouTube to catch the video versions of our episode. You'll get exclusive content, behind-the-scenes footage, and much more. Head over to YouTube, Chris_Salerno now, and hit the subscribe button. Stay tuned because we've got more great content coming right after this.
Yeah, I think the media is definitely propaganda. I think everyone knows at this point, and you just have to look at it with that frame.
You do.
You have to understand that's propaganda, but within the propaganda are facts.
Yeah.
So in there somewhere, if you're going to draw a picture, what they'll do is they'll drop a few dots of facts and they'll paint a picture that includes huge picture that includes those facts.
And it's up to you to go find those facts and then do more research.
What you need to do is take away the drawing that they've done, take your facts and just start connecting dots.
Yeah.
And that's really what I do. I just take the dots and start connecting them because the picture that they paint actually doesn't make sense. It just happens to include the facts, but it's not the actual story.
Yeah. It's blown up, just to try to get your attention and to steer you in one direction. And a lot of times they don't have facts too, what I've read, and they just want to steer you in a wrong direction, which is very, very bad. So after that whole week, you're like, okay, guys, hey, this is what's going on and this is what the media wants. Yeah. However, there's a bigger picture over here that we need to look at. And you started seeing that growth come. You started seeing people come.
Yeah, that was a wild week because I remember, I think I grew to maybe 60 or 70,000 people, or maybe 80,000 people on Instagram. And I was at lunch with my wife, and she's like,
did she finally believe it?
Yeah, she's like, you're about to hit 100,000 maybe over the next few days. I was like, okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
We got done with lunch, and she's like, you have 110.
No way.
I was like, what the hell just happened?
Right over lunch, she said that.
Yeah, over like 30,000 people in an hour.
Wow.
It just blew up that day. And that video ended up doing, I think, 30 million views worldwide.
38 million views. Holy
Something
cow.
like that. People were like repurposing it. People were sharing it. Everyone's reacting to it. I had friends like in different countries be like, Matt, I just saw your video in random country, like Vietnam or whatever. I'm like, what are you doing on our social media?
Wow.
I have no idea.
That's wild. So
just went wild.
You have a passion for telling the facts and having your listeners and your viewers have their own opinion based off of the facts that you really research and then take out and present to them?
Yeah, I mean, again, there is bias because I choose which facts to tell.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Understood.
I think in selecting the facts, I can't go through every single fact in the world. It just takes forever.
You're not going to be able to.
But at the same time, I encourage people to think for themselves.
Yeah.
I think it's the most important thing. I think critical thinking is dead. It's the one thing that we really need to get back.
I agree.
The example I think of is we have such heavy reliance on people that we consider experts.
And that's because the media portrays them as experts.
It's in every aspect
I mean,
of our life.
look at Fauci.
Yeah, it's not it's in your health, it's in your education, it's in your business, it's in your personal life. It's like, this guy's an expert, so they must know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
The reality is that's actually not true. If you're building a house, and you want to know how the progression of your house is going, who do you call?
I would call the head contractor.
See, then you get bad information because they're going to tell you what you want to hear.
Yeah.
They don't want to get fired. They have a self-interest in making sure that they don't want to disappoint you.
So the best thing to do is go and drive up to the site itself.
The best thing to do, actually, is to call the nosy neighbor that's always outside, watering the grass, pretending like she's watering the flowers, but
Agreed.
she's peeking in and she wants to know what's going on. The nosy neighbor that looks and peeks out the window every hour and because she has a personal interest in the success of your house.
Yeah, you're right.
She knows nothing about construction, but she can tell you
If they're lazy
if they're lazy, that they're there. If your pallet of supplies have been sitting outside for 3 weeks, but they said they're working on it, that the delivery was delayed, but they were lying to you because actually they've been there the whole time, that maybe they're partying in your unfinished house at nighttime drinking beers, that they're leaving at 3 p.m. instead of working till 8 p.m. like they've been telling you.
100%.
The uneducated, observant, personally interested, nosy neighbor actually would be the best person to ask on whether or not your house construction is going good.
Yeah, no, I definitely second that now. As it recalls, I was flipping a house and same thing, called the contractor, got bullshit from them, so I kept driving by unexpectedly, no notice, and then ran into the neighbor, and they said that they were drinking beer. Yeah, that's a good one. I like that.
They know right away.
They do.
We rely on experts, but sometimes you just need people that have actual interest, personal interest, because it affects them. She's very invested in your success.
Yeah.
If your house ends up being crap, it's bad for her.
Correct.
If they take a long time, then it's bad for her. They don't want to live with the noise. If they are messy, then now she has to worry about flat tires because there's nails everywhere.
Yeah.
She's extremely invested in the success of your house. She's the best person to ask.
No,
and I think that's what it is. I'm not an expert in anything. I just notice.
And you're extremely invested in it.
And I care.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't, not only does it affect me, it affects my daughter and future generations. I think that's really what it is.
Let's talk about the future generations. I know a lot of my friends that I talk to, ultra high net worth individuals, very successful business owners. They are all, really focused on private schools, homeschooling. I've even, a couple of them have gotten their families together to say, hey, we're going to all pitch in and hire one person and they're going to privately, homeschool our children. And I'm hearing that more and more. I mean, I'm in discussion of private school as well compared to the public schools. It's a concern for us as entrepreneurs and business owners to put our children in the system. And I think it's becoming more viewed as well. Is that I know when I grew up going to school, that homeschool kid was kind of like, a little shady in the corner, quiet. They all said you're not gonna have any friends, you're gonna be socially awkward. But now it's like, no, like that's the route to go because of what's going on in the school systems. What's your take on that?
Yeah, I agree 100%. I think that going to the homeschool route is probably the best. It's something that I've been looking into heavily as well. I think the best route is actually the option that you gave, where you get like-minded individuals
100%.
that have shared core values, that believe the same things,
Correct.
that have interest in each other's lives and interest in each other's success. And you hire someone that you trust to teach your kids. And you don't need 100 people in a class. You don't need 5,000 people in a school. You got 10 kids together, 5 kids together, they can learn.
Yeah.
That's enough community.
I like that route better than one-on-one homeschooling. Reason being is because if you and I, not at the bar because we don't drink, but if you or I at the golf course or having a cigar, we're going to have a conversation at a very high level. We're going to learn from each other. So those kids in that class will ask certain questions. They're all going to learn from each other. And because the parents and the success of the parents, they're all going to grow together with that type of mindset compared to just one-on-one. That's why I like that group homeschooling better.
Yeah, I don't even think they need to be the same age.
No, they don't.
I think having different age groups within the same class actually is beneficial because it teaches the older kids to take care of the younger kids. It teaches them responsibility. It teaches the younger kids to have respect for the older kids and have something to follow and learn from.
Yeah.
I like the hierarchical system of children in school together. Actually, Elon Musk developed a school. I don't know if you ever looked into it.
No. In Austin?
They have an online school as well.
Oh, do they?
So it's called Ad Astra, I think, to the stars. And what they do is they take kids anywhere from, I think, 4 or 5 until maybe 10 years old.
Really?
And you get in, if you do it remote, then you go into one program. And once a week or 2 times a week for 2 or 3 hours at a time, you solve problems together.
Really?
So you solve problems using virtual learning, you play like these very logic type of games.
Yeah.
Actually, it's something I definitely recommend. I looked into it
Wow.
also. She's a little young for it. But once it's available, I'll probably let her enroll in
Is
that.
the minimum age 4?
I think it's 4 or 5.
4 or 5?
Yeah, something in that
I'll look
range.
into it because mine's 4.5
Right in that
going on
range.
25.
Yeah,
So
that's
I'll
perfect.
look into it.
Because the kids get together and they have to figure out how to work together. It's different age groups.
Strategize, all that.
And they have to solve problems.
Wow.
That's the best way to learn.
I mean, that brings up a great point. Everyone's moving into communities, building a community. You have a phenomenal community that follows you. And I think that's a great point that, Elon Musk has taken that initiative to do it. But I think you're going to see a lot of these quote unquote communities be more geared towards the children and growing their mindset, the way they solve problems, strategizing, but as more of a community instead of, hey, you're going to go 9 to 5 schooling. You're going to sit, you only get 30 minutes lunch, just like prison, basically.
I mean, it's a huge waste of time for kids to sit there all day. Really, it's just babysitting.
It is 100%.
You're trusting the government to raise your children. You're trusting the government to teach your children. You're trusting the government to babysit your children.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Yep.
And the teachers, some of them actually care, and they're trying their best. They don't have the resources. The schools have too many kids in it.
Correct.
There's too much politics involved. They are not thinking. Their primary focus isn't the well-being of your child. They're not going to care the same way you are, the same way that your neighbors are, your family is.
Most of the time when I was in school, they all complained about how little pay they got.
Yeah.
And I realized
Which is true. They get crap pay.
Oh, they get shit pay.
Yeah.
And they should get paid more for what
Yes.
they put up with. But one thing that resonated with me, and everyone said this too, is, your college professors talk about business, but they never ran a business. So, at the end of the day, I want someone, which is myself and other advocates, teaching my son how to operate a business who've successfully done it before, and who has successfully made a very large income. Because $60,000 as an annual income, someone who makes $100,000, that's a lot of money. But at the end of the day, it's not that much given the current market environment that we're in.
Yeah.
So it's that level of mindset of opening and expanding a lot at a higher level.
Yeah, I think we need to take control of how we raise our children back.
I do.
I think we need to stop trusting other people to do it because it's a huge problem.
Yeah, most definitely.
And eventually, and I think about this all the time, eventually in my daughter's lifetime, in your son's lifetime, they're going to be presented with a conscious decision to make. Do you want to plug in and give up full control of your mind to whatever system that they're building, or do you want them to live free? And the reality is that 80% of children, or 80% of people, will opt to live plugged in.
Yeah.
Because it means you're going to have a little bit better life and you're going to have a little bit less freedom and control. I would prefer my daughter to choose to live out in the resistance with me. And it's going to be lonely there, so I'm encouraging other people to join with me because I don't want to live by myself. But I'll die with the resistance. I don't care because I don't want to plug in. I don't want to comply. And it's going to be a conscious choice. And it's our responsibility to teach our children that when they're presented with that choice, because it's going to be a choice, they have to be well equipped to make the right decision. And it's going to be their decision to make.
Oh, 100%.
And it's going to be really sad for a lot of people because they're going to say, I hope my kid doesn't choose to give up control of their mind to whatever this AI Borg bot that ends up taking over our world. There's a lot of people that think that.
Yeah.
But what are you doing to prevent it? Because if you're not doing something proactively about it now, given the choice, all their friends are going to plug in, all the celebrities are going to be plugged in, everything is propagandized to say, this is better for you.
Most definitely. No, you're spot on there. And I think it's so easy for parents to automatically, when their kid starts to give any fuss, like at the dinner table or you're out, at a restaurant, give any fuss. It's so easy for that child or that parent to say, hey, here's my iPhone, watch, YouTube, but the biggest thing is no, hey, here, color. You want to play tic-tac-toe?
Yeah.
Like that's what I do with my son. Hey, let's play tic-tac-toe here. If they don't have coloring papers, I'm sure the waitress has a pen and a white piece of paper. And let's play a game or something like that instead of just sit there on these devices, because it's mind-boggling, which some of these Disney Channel movies, I will tell you, Buzz Lightyear, I will not let my son watch. I was so shocked when I actually started watching Buzz Lightyear and I learned what they actually portray in that movie. I was like, no, we're not watching this anymore. I'm sorry, but this is not how real life works.
Yeah.
Like, we can't watch it. And it's so shocking that at a very young age, our children don't necessarily realize it at that moment, but it's planting in their mind that lifestyle is okay.
And they're so good at what they do.
Oh, my God.
My daughter has never seen anything Disney in her life.
Wow,
she's never watched
really?
movies. She's never seen TV. I mean, she doesn't watch TV.
So zero TV.
Zero TV, zero screen time. The only screen time she gets is if we go to the zoo or we go to, I don't know, we like going to the safari and feeding the giraffes.
Yeah, no.
That's
I do that with my son in Charlotte.
Then at the end of the night, I'll let her watch the videos that we took.
Okay.
So the videos and screen time
So
she
she
gets,
likes to see the videos that you took of them feeding the animals, things like that.
Yeah, she likes to see the animal again. She's like, giraffe, giraffe, giraffe. Or she likes to walk around because all videos, so now she wants to walk around. She wants to video things, so she likes to do that. And she wants to go home and see the videos she took. So I'll let her do that. That's as much screen time as she gets. Outside of that, there's none. No movies, no TV, nothing. So she's never seen anything Disney. She loves Minnie Mouse.
Really?
Loves Minnie Mouse.
Wait, and hold on. She's never seen anything Disney, but loves Minnie Mouse.
Loves it. It's her favorite thing.
Really?
Anytime we're at a store and they have something Minnie Mouse, she's like,
I gotta
want
have
that.
it.
I want that. She's never even seen her, and she's already addicted to Minnie Mouse. She's never seen a cartoon.
What is the
with
psychological play behind that?
They're just that good. They design them so good that kids, even if they don't watch the cartoon, relate to it and want it.
Unbelievable. Really?
There's no other explanation. She loves Minnie Mouse so much. She loves Minnie Mouse and she loves Stitch.
So one thing,
those are her two favorites.
I heard they're coming out with a new movie.
She won't watch it.
One thing I've learned, and this is when I spent some time with Wharton with marketing, is that it's all about colors, shapes. And they had to design the ears a perfect circle, the shape of a round,
perfect,
all that to see the naked eye of a young child and register in the mind saying, I want it, that I'm attracted to that. That's unbelievable. She's never ever seen it, but she's attracted to it.
I can only imagine what it would be like if we started watching Minnie Mouse cartoons.
Not only that, what about if you went to Disneyland?
Yeah. My wife's like, we got to go to Disneyland. She loves Minnie Mouse. I'm like, no. We're not going.
Wow. So the wife's like, come on, we got to go.
Yeah, of course, because she wants what's best for her.
Correct.
And she wants to make her happy and she wants to give her opportunity, which I understand that. But I was like, no, we're not going to Disney World.
That's psychological play, and they're doing it. I think they're doing it a lot more at a greater level, and we're realizing it. I think they're doing it at a greater level this day and age and we're realizing that with our children. And a lot of people like you and I are stepping up and saying, no, we don't condone in this.
I mean, Disney does a phenomenal job at their business.
Oh my God, yeah.
Every person I've ever met that's been on a Disney cruise, they're like, oh, they're amazing. They're so awesome.
I've never heard anything bad about a Disney cruise.
Because they take care of the parents so well.
Yeah.
They pamper their parents so well that this is where you come back and you get the kid for life.
What's there? There's a movie. I can't recall. Maybe it's is it Wall-E or something? I think it is. It's Wall-E, where all these parents are stuck up in a ship. And they're being basically brainwashed. That's how those Disney ships are. They brainwash it.
Yeah, and if you get the VIP experience, then they have your favorite food waiting for you. They wait on you hand and foot. They engage your kids so well.
Psychologically, they tap into your mind.
Just give them away, and you don't have to worry about it because they're safe.
And
they're
you feel trustworthy.
You feel good.
Yeah.
I got my mimosa.
Kids are taken care of.
Yeah, I got my sushi for breakfast, and I got everything I need.
Unbelievable. Yeah.
She's never watched Disney. She loves Minnie Mouse. It's wildest thing.
That's
all she
wild.
wants, Minnie Mouse.
That's crazy. Oh my goodness. Let's talk a little more on politics. You know, what's going on with this border? What are your thoughts about that? I mean, I think, you know, it's just unbelievable what's happening over there, how many people are coming over that we're just basically letting over into our country, where it wouldn't happen like this in other countries. You know, what's your thoughts on that?
Well, it's happening in all countries right now. It's almost like everyone is fighting for more people. You kind of get that sense.
Why do you think that?
I've thought about that a lot. Why does everyone want more people?
Because if they're coming over here, they're not essentially paying, you know, tax on the money they make. Yes, they're paying tax on everything they buy and things like that, but why?
Well, I think part of it, the obvious is that they want to change the electorate. So that
100%.
I think that's the very obvious thing. I think most people would agree to that. Even whichever aisle you sit, you're like, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Right. You import a bunch of immigrants and you say they're going to vote this way, so this makes sense, and logically it does.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, I just saw a Republican congressman brought someone to the DNC. I don't know if you saw that video. Tried to get him in. He did not have an ID. They would not let him in. And I think he was from Ecuador. Don't hold me to that, but he was a Republican congressman trying to bring him in the DNC, and they would not let him in because he didn't have an ID. And it's like, but everyone's flowing over here, and then you're encouraging them all to go vote. You don't need an ID. That's okay.
And it's not just immigrants from anywhere. It's very specific on where they're bringing in.
Yeah.
And that's even the weirder part. Actually, I talked to a guy. He works for the USCIS. So he's part of the immigration system.
Okay.
He's one of the officers that approves applications. So if you are in the United States and you want to sponsor a family member that lives in another country, there's a specific form you fill out, I-130 or something like this. You fill out this form, you request a visa, temporary visa for them, so that you can get your family member into the country. This is the form he works on. Only form he works on.
So this is the only thing he specializes on.
To help U.S. citizens get their family members into the United States legally. Only form he works on. Something like last December, they told him to stop processing the form.
Bullshit.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah, they don't process them anymore. Instead, because Venezuela got special country status or whatever that's called, he is now spending all of his time, all of his effort, processing special visas and for people that are here illegally from Venezuela.
Really?
Yeah. So he went from processing applications for citizens who want to bring their family members to getting visas and giving paperwork for people that randomly show up here. And the Biden administration has been flying in people on commercial airplanes.
I've seen that. I've seen those planes come in.
Mostly from Venezuela.
So the loopholes go to Venezuela, and then the U.S. government will fly you in.
If you're Venezuelan, you can come in the country, and they take care of you. You could roam freely for 2 years, and during your roam process, you fill out this application, and this guy, his job now is to approve your form.
And your thoughts are because they want to sway the votes. I think
that's
so.
one idea.
Yeah, I think there's obviously multiple, but I definitely think there's one is so that they can get the House, they can get Congress, they can stay in the White House as well. If they're allowing it so easy to vote for our president of the United States, why not fly more people in to vote?
I think maybe a possible bigger picture reason that they do it is because most modern countries are actually on population decline. They are not growing at fast enough rate.
We're on a decline too, our population.
Here in the United States, it's about 1.7.
Yeah, that's why Elon Musk is having so many kids.
Correct. You need to be at over 2 in order for populations to survive and grow. You have to be at least 2 just to stay even. That's including hoping that no one extra dies.
Wow.
Right? Because if there's 2 of us, if there's a guy and a girl, you need to have 2 kids to replace the 2 people. If you're under the 2, then populations could decline.
And are you thinking it's just this younger generation?
You're not having kids.
Yeah.
Then how do you...
They'd rather have dogs than kids.
If you're not going to have children, how do you ensure that society sustains?
You bring more people in.
That's the only other way.
Yeah.
Either you have to, encourage people to have more kids, but that's very counterintuitive because they're telling you abort your kids. They're telling you not to have kids. They're telling you that it's okay not to have children. They're discouraging people from having too many children. Yeah. They're making it very expensive for, to have children. Actually, if you are having fertility issues and you want to do something like IVF or some sort of fertility treatment, insurance companies don't cover it. They don't support it at all.
I just had a very good friend of mine, big social media guy, fly to Istanbul to get a full body scan, and it was like $3K, and they do blood work, everything, heart, EKG, MRI, and I'm for my birthday, that's what I'm going to do is a full body scan, because the healthcare system, like we chatted earlier, is just so realistic over there, and it's more cost effective than it is over here.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make sense over here to actually live anymore. And the biggest thing that gets me with the administration and everything that's going on is that they're saying how Harris, because I can't pronounce her first name,
Kamala.
They're saying that Harris is going to change everything. And I'm scratching my head, well, aren't you in office?
Yeah,
I mean,
it's crazy.
Didn't you have some sort of sway or say the past 3.5 years you've been in office, but all of a sudden you're going to change everything Q1 of next year?
It's wild.
It doesn't make sense to me.
It's wild.
And one big thing too that I heard too is that for the past 16 years, the Democratic Party has had the office for 12 of that. Republicans only had 4 of it. You know, so
and before that we had Bush, and I don't think Bush counts as a Republican anymore either. So
I
throw him to that side.
It's questionable.
Yeah.
You know, and so it's like, okay, so for the past 12 years, it's all been the Democratic Party, but only the 4 years Trump's in office, you're going to bash those 4 years only? Yeah. Like, come on. You know, to me, it's common sense, but I understand common sense is not common for much people.
Yeah, and the problem is that we have this idea that politics is going to save America. Actually, it's not true. There's no president that's ever come in actually made the country better.
No, I agree.
And that's no president.
Yeah, that's Republicans or Democrats, none.
It's a matter of how fast society deteriorates. So if you have a good president, maybe it just deteriorates a little bit slower.
Yeah.
But we've done nothing actually to make it better for people.
No, I think
it just gets worse and worse.
I think certain presidents expedite it.
Yeah.
You know, expedite it, and like you said, other presidents make it slower, but it's still on that same journey. It's getting bad. Yeah,
the responsibility falls on us as a populace to improve society. So stop giving your kids to government school and letting them, propagandize your children, indoctrinate your children, take responsibility for your children, and raise them yourself.
No one wants to take responsibility.
But you have to.
That's the issue.
It's that we just keep on handing it over, thinking that the government's going to show up and fix our problems. The government's going to show up and fix our business. Government's going to show up and give us more money. The reality is they never do anything for you.
No.
You have to figure out for yourself. That's the only option.
That's life.
And they're going to say, no, but watch more Netflix, watch more YouTube, watch more cartoons, do all of this, and trust me, your life is better because you're happier.
No.
And it's just emphatically not true.
No, it's not. I mean, you get more of a benefit for not working with EBT and all that stuff. You get paid more not working than actually working. I mean, it doesn't make sense.
You just got to take control of your own life.
No, I agree.
And stop waiting for someone to help you because no one's helping you. They don't care.
Yeah, no, most definitely. Spot on with that. With this election, it's pretty wild. You think there'll be a debate coming up with Harris and Trump? I really want to see one.
I mean, they say they're going to debate once so far. I don't know.
Did they? I know. I heard she declined the
the Fox one. I think she's doing the ABC one. I think they'll just do one. I think that's kind of what's at. We haven't seen her on the campaign trail other than prepared remarks. She doesn't do press conferences.
It's all teleprompter. She won't speak. You know, last time
she's so bad off script.
I mean, the last time
I would do the same if I were them.
Oh yeah,
Kamala, shut up.
I know. Give me a script.
Yeah.
You know, and let me be a puppet for the next 4 years. That's what they're going to do. I mean, we saw that when we negotiated those U.S. citizens coming back from Russia. When we got them back, you know, she was off script 100%, and it did not help out.
But they are rolling out the propaganda machine at max right now.
It's unbelievable.
Just a month ago, she was the most unpopular person in the country.
Who even knew of her?
Everyone's like, who is she? We don't like her. What's that weird cackle? It's really disturbing. Like, no one wants to hear it.
I will say, I love that woman on what is it, TikTok. I don't know if you've seen her. She makes the best Harris impression. She's just phenomenal.
I don't even want to watch it.
I'll send it to you. I'll send you a text of her. You're gonna have to watch it. It is the best. She's been on Fox News, all that. She's phenomenal. But yeah, I think they're just pushing it out even more and more, and it's mind-boggling on what is going on, and the numbers too. Supposedly she's beating Trump, which I don't believe, and I think it's going to be another very close one, and I think they're going to try to do whatever it takes to take this one.
I mean, she went from super unpopular to all of a sudden she's like doing her brat summer, and she's so demure and all these things. And people don't even realize that that's all a part of it.
It's a psychological play. I
The
mean,
whole thing's a psyop.
I mean, look at when they're getting off the jet, all the AI. You can clearly see the reflection in the jet. You can clearly see the cell phones of these, AI bots. It's nothing. It's a whole psychological play where they're trying to say, hey, just like you did when your first video came out, or with the submarine video, where everyone's saying, hey, let's look over here, but you're not going to really know what's going on over there. That's what they're trying to do.
And they're using AI to make the crowds look bigger. They're using AI to manufacture support. They're using AI to spread different messaging. They're using influencers to get out messaging. And people on the right are like, that's bullshit. You can't do that. Obviously, it's fake. They're paid for, etc. But the reality is that their method and their tactics, it actually works.
Oh, it is working. It works 100%.
The previous presidential election in South Korea, the current president, he actually used AI to win an election.
Bullshit.
So they created a avatar of himself.
Yeah.
And they preloaded it with different fun
Sayings,
answers and
all
sayings,
that.
etc. And you could go online and you could engage with this AI version of the president.
And
people knew it was, but it was fun. You can ask him questions. You can ask him funny questions.
And it was
things
just
that
like
you
an
can't ask in
emoji
person.
bot.
Yeah, it was an avatar. It looked just like him. It spoke just like him.
But you type in the questions and boom,
and it just answers. What's your favorite ice cream? And they'll give you an answer. They'll give a quirky answer or something fun.
And people got addicted to that.
People got addicted to it. They were engaging with it. And they used AI. And they won the election with that.
Unbelievable.
It works. So they tested in other countries, tested in other areas of the world. If it works, they use it here. And clearly it's worked because he won an election. And now here in the United States, they're like, all right, let's use the AI. And people know it's not real. People in Korea, when they voted for him, they knew that the AI avatar that they were engaging with was fake. It's AI. They knew it.
But
everyone knew it.
They don't care.
But you get so used to it. And that's the scary part of AI. You know it's not real. You know that the AI girls scrolling through Instagram aren't real.
No.
You know that these videos you're watching aren't real.
And these days, even if they are real, you are second guessing. I mean, there's been so many times I've looked at videos of Biden that I'm like, okay, I need to fact check this. Like, this is so legit. Like, did he really just say this? And yes, he did really just say it. And vice versa. AI is coming to really sharpening everything in the mental mind. Where at the end of the day, it's unbelievable how it's persuading the human to make decisions.
It's just quantity into your mind. And it doesn't matter if it's real or it's fake. It doesn't matter if it's a movie or it's a reality show or it's real life.
It's unbelievable.
If you consume enough of it, you start to believe it. Yeah. And that's what we're learning right now. That's how actually your mind works.
And that's why I think the big thing is once Harris announced or they pushed it out, you saw Bloomberg, Business Insider, all of those the same thing. So you're in your mind, you're like, oh well, I'm seeing 10 outlets say very similar things. It must be right. But it's unbelievable how they're using the psychological play to control. And that's what they want they want the control.
Of course, always
control. Unbelievable. I really do think, especially with her announcement about the 44.6% capital gain tax, that's if she gets in, it's going to hurt big time. It's going to really hurt the economy big time. You're going to see a lot of people hold assets longer. You're going to see the cycle of trading slow down substantially. It's going to make a huge damage on the housing, which we're already short substantially. I think you're going to see a huge damaging on that, and it's going to increase price, and it's just going to hurt the economy even more.
Yeah, the economy is a tricky one because what does it even mean for the economy to get better? The pricing where it is now of standard goods, they actually don't go down.
I don't think
they're not going to go down.
I don't think they will.
And during COVID, they said this all the time. This is the new norm. Actually, what we're living now is the new norm. There's 100%. No going back from it. The damage is, it's permanent.
Yeah.
You can't go back on it. It's always... The $5 milk is forever going to be a $5 milk.
100%.
There's no going back.
And unfortunately, I think our children eventually is going to see a $7 and $10 milk.
There's no going back from that.
Just like you said, each presidency is always going in the wrong direction. And I think with our children, they're going to see $7 and $10, and that's going to be their new norm. And then we're going to say, when we're older, to them, "Oh, I remember when it was $5." I mean, just look at interest rate. Interest rates back in 1960s were 18%.
Yeah,
huge. Imagine if we had that now. Everyone would yell. I mean, they're yelling now because they went up. So I think that's what's going to happen. Is it's going to keep increasing. You're right.
Yeah, it's going to be much more difficult for people to own things. Actually, if you go to other countries, I travel international a lot. If you go to other countries, the idea of buying things and owning things is actually going away. And that's what they want here. They want everything to be on subscription. They want everything to be as a service, software as a service, real estate as a service.
Yeah.
Everything is service oriented where you pay a fee, a nominal fee every month. I was in Korea last winter, and you know how there every time you check out online right now, you have the option to pay in installments. Literally everything.
It's unbelievable. And to touch on that, there are certain things I refuse to pay installments for. Like a car, I know they depreciate assets. Yes, I'm going to make payments. I'm not going to pay cash for it. Why tie up that cash when I can use that cash for something else? Furniture, to me, I don't believe in making payments on furniture. I'm going to pay cash for it. It's going to be in my house. I'm going to be done with it. TVs, like all that little type of stuff, I'm paying cash for.
Yes.
Cars, I'm going to finance. Depreciating asset, houses, finance, all the real estate we own, I'm going to finance it. But it's shocking when you see all these little installments. And to me, what registrates in my mind is that you're going to lock up one person and they're going to over leverage because no one taught them finance. College doesn't teach you really how to manage. The government's not going to teach you how to manage your checkbook. They're not going to teach you how to manage your credit. You're going to have this the American citizen over leverage themselves, and before you know it, they're not going to be able to make payments on any of their goods. And then now you have control of them. The only other thing is file bankruptcy.
Yeah, I mean, once you have so many obligations you have to pay on a monthly basis, you don't even know what you owe anymore. You don't even know what you're signing up for. In Korea, they were doing, when you go to dinner, you can pay your dinner bill in installments. You can sign up.
No, are you
Click
serious?
the button. Yeah, they ask you, do you want to pay in full or do you want to pay in installments? When you go buy coffee, do you want to pay in full or do you want to pay in installments? It's a thing.
That's no way.
It's going to come here. If they have, first they started.
Paying dinner in installments?
They had buy installments for big ticket items only.
Yeah.
Now, literally everything you buy on the internet.
Here. Anything
you can buy installments.
There's something I was looking at a couple weeks ago and I was like, I am shocked that you can pay installments for this.
It's just a matter of time before it's for your food, for your dinner, and you start saying yes to all these things because your $100 dinner now only costs you $10.
The way I see it is that when you're in debt, they can control you.
Exactly. Now you can't quit your job. You can't fall out of line.
Correct.
Because you have no choice. You have to comply because you have all these bills that you have to pay for on a monthly basis.
And that's why they don't like billionaires. That's why they don't like individuals who are successful, is because you can't control them.
Yeah.
And they want the control. So yes, they're going to give installments to everybody.
Yes.
And then they're going to, now they have control because you have to pay that debt back.
Yeah.
And then they also look good when a party says, hey, we're going to decrease your debt. They're going to be like, I'm going to vote for that person because he says he's going to decrease our debt.
Yep.
Unbelievable.
So don't do installments. Say no. Don't do that.
Pay cash for whatever you need to pay cash for. I mean, installments, no. I don't believe in that. And that's wild that Korea is doing that.
Yeah.
Well, I know your time is very valuable, and I want to give that to you. Thank you so much for being on the podcast. A wealth of knowledge. I'm excited. If you guys don't follow, go ahead and follow Matt. Wealth of knowledge. He tells the facts how it is. I love it. Thanks so much for joining us.
Hey, Chris. And final word. Yeah. Anyone watching, anyone listening, if you like what Chris does, and I do this after every show I ever do.
Thank you.
If you like what if you like what Chris does, the best thing you can do is to share the content.
Yeah.
I think a warm transfer is significantly more important than a cold transfer. Anyone that's ever lived in sales 100%. Before know that. I can put out on my social media that I was on Chris's show a million times.
Yep.
But if I call someone, say, hey, dude, I checked out Chris's show. It's great. Why don't you go check it out too? The success and the probability of transferring that lead is huge.
Huge.
If you are hiring a carpenter for your house, you got to build a shelf.
That's right.
You can do random on Google.
Yep.
Or your buddy says, he worked in my house. He did a really good job. You go check him out. The chance of closing that deal is like 80%.
Most definitely.
You got to warm transfer.
Always.
So if you like Chris's show, you have to share the show.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Hey, thank you, Chris.
All right. Thank you for tuning in to the Chris Salerno Show. We hope you enjoyed today's episode and gained valuable insight to help you along your journey. Don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform. If you have any questions or topics that you would like to cover, feel free to reach out directly to me. Shoot me a message on Instagram at Chris_Salerno_. Until next time, keep pushing forward and stay inspired.